Stranger Things is a deeply occult show about witchcraft, sorcery, demons, and science fiction with characters who form a secret society controlling the physical dimension and the spiritual dimensions, becoming sorcerers with supernatural abilities like the Rephaim, demigods, heroes. The occult speaks in taciturn language through symbols, dates, plot lines, props, code words, etc. The show is also very apocalyptic because the elites are trying to counterfeit the end times. It is the most popular show ever to air on Netflix. So this video will be about Stranger Things Season 5 mostly, and it will be a long one, but I decided to cover the history of Metallica and some of their song lyrics first, because some of Metallica's lyrics have the same themes as Stranger Things: apocalypse, death, demons, Lovecraftian old ones, blackness, wormholes, etc. I also think they disclosed the ritual sacrifice of Cliff Burton, bassist for Metallica in Season 4. Cliff Burton died in September of 1986 at 24 years old, supposedly from a bus crash while touring in support of the Master of Puppets album. Reportedly, the band's tour bus flipped, killing only Cliff Burton. No other vehicle was involved, which is a pattern when a famous person is sacrificed in a crash. The cause of the crash is still unknown, they say. At first they said it was black ice, but that was deemed impossible. Then they said the driver was intoxicated, but he was never charged. After Cliff's death, Metallica became huge. They have won 10 Grammy Awards, the most of any metal band, and all of that happened after Cliff Burton died so suspiciously. And most of it happened after Metallica released the song So What in 1998, and that song has the most disgusting pornographic lyrics I personally have ever heard. Those lyrics include drugs, pedophilia, bestiality, etc. I'm not going to review those lyrics, but the original version was performed by the British punk band Anti-Nowhere League, who were from Tunbridge Wells in the UK, which I've covered before, that area, in other videos because it's an ancient witchcraft hub. Eddie Munson's character in Stranger Things is also a metal guitarist like Cliff Burton. He's also the leader of the Hellfire Dungeons and Dragons Club in the show. One of the plot lines of the show is that some of the antagonistic Christian characters wrongfully accuse him of being a Satanist, which insubstantiates the satanic panic that was widespread during the 80s. The show plants Ishtar eggs all throughout, which they want people to find, is like Katy Perry being proud of the Ishtar eggs in her videos, and I assume that's a way of garnering sympathy for the devil. Anyway, Eddie's character is a metal guitarist and a senior graduating in the class of 1986. Eddie sacrifices himself in the show in 1986, and as his character is dying, he says, "This is my year." 1986 is the year Cliff Burton of Metallica was killed supposedly in a bus crash while touring for the Metallica album Master of Puppets. And Eddie's character in Stranger Things plays Master of Puppets, the song, on top of an overturned bus in Season 4 before he sacrifices himself. So this has to be disclosure. Eddie sacrifices himself by allowing bats in the Upside Down to descend on him. In one of the scenes, he references Ozzy biting the head off a bat, and Metallica toured with Ozzy in 1986, exposing them to a much larger audience. So, Metallica, the band, was founded by James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich. James Hetfield has a Templar cross on his signature model guitar. Lars Ulrich is a Danish, and he's Order of Dannebrog, which is a Danish order of chivalry instituted in 1671 by Christian V. And this is the badge, and it's awarded by a sovereign of Denmark. His paternal grandparents are Jewish. Lars Ulrich's are. Lars became interested in music when his father took him to a Deep Purple concert at 12 years old. Deep Purple are definitely witches in the club. Lars then moved from Denmark to LA in 1980 and formed Metallica in 1981. It seems Lars Ulrich was sent to the US from Denmark to create the roots of this band. James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich are listed as the primary songwriters, which will be important when we talk about the lyrics. Cliff Burton joined the band in 1983. So the Hellfire Club in real life, the real life Hellfire Club, infamously mocked God and Jesus. And I covered that in a prior video. And so do Metallica lyrics, which I'm going to review in this video. The word lyrics stems from lyre, L-Y-R-E, which is an instrument used by bards for storytelling. Greek Orpheus used a magical golden lyre, and lyres are also featured in fantasy games such as D&D. The word lyre, L-I-A-R, stems from Old English L-Y-E-R-E, which stems from lyre, L-Y-R-E. And Lucifer was the angel of music and also the ultimate liar. So, let's talk about some of the lyrics. Kill 'Em All was their first album, released in 1983. They promoted the album on tour with the British heavy metal band Raven in the US. Then they toured Europe in 1984, and the name of the tour was 7 Dates of Hell. Let's look at the lyrics to some of the songs on Kill 'Em All. When Cliff died, they released their first music video in honor of Cliff titled Kill 'Em All. So let's look at the lyrics to The Four Horsemen. This song was used in Stranger Things Season 2 in the episode titled The Mind Flayer, and this is very apocalyptic. These lyrics, just like Stranger Things is apocalyptic in its themes. The lyrics are, by the last breath the fourth winds blow, better raise your ears, the sounds of hooves knock at your door. Lock up your wife and children now, it's time to wield the blade, for now you've got some company. Horsemen are drawing nearer, on leather steeds they ride. They've come to take your life on through the dead of night. With the four horsemen ride, or choose your fate and die. You've been dying since the day you were born. You know it's all been planned. The quartet of deliverance rides, a sinner once, a sinner twice. No need for confession now, 'cause now you've got the fight of your life. Time has taken its toll on you, the lines that crack your face. Famine your body, it is torn through, withered in every place. Pestilence for what you've had to endure and what you've put others through. Death, deliverance for you not sure. Now there's nothing you can do. Another song on that first album was Jump in the Fire. And it's written from Satan's point of view, they say. The lyrics are, down in the depths of my fiery home, the summons bell will chime, tempting you and all the earth to join our sinful kind. There's a job to be done, and I'm the one. You people make me do it. Now it's time for your fate, and I won't hesitate to pull you down into this pit. Come on, jump in the fire. With hell in my eyes and death in my veins, the end is closing in, feeding on the minds of man and from their souls within. My disciples all shout to search you out. They always shall obey. Follow me now, my child, not the meek or the mild, but do just as I say. Jump by your will or be taken by force. I'll get you either way. Trying to keep the hellfire lit, I'm stalking you as prey. Living your life as me, I am with you, you see. There is part of me in everyone. So reach down, grab my hand, walk with me through the land. Come home where you belong. Another song on that album is Phantom Lord. The lyrics involve falling to your knees and bowing to the Phantom Lord. Another is Am I Evil? This song was written by British heavy metal band Diamond Head, but became famous through Metallica's popular cover version, and some of the lyrics are, my mother was a witch. She was burned alive, thankless little bitch, for the tears I've cried. Take her down now, don't want to see her face. Blistered and burnt, can't hide my disgrace. Am I evil? Yes, I am. Am I evil? I am man. Yes. The next album was Ride the Lightning. and it was released in 1984. Noted for, it says, a more mature sound based on bassist Cliff Burton's knowledge of music theory. The title was taken from a passage in Stephen King's novel The Stand, they say. So, Ride the Lightning is one of the songs, and some of the lyrics are, guilty as charged, but damn it, it ain't right. There's someone else controlling me. Another is Trapped Under Ice, another song on that album. The lyrics are, I don't know how to live through this hell. Woken up, I'm still locked in this shell. Frozen soul, frozen down to the core. Break the ice, I can't take any more. Freezing, can't move at all. Screaming, can't hear my call. I'm dying to live, cry out, I'm trapped under ice. Crystallize as I lay here and rest. Eyes of glass stare directly at death. From deep sleep I have broken away. No one knows, no one hears what I say. Scream from my soul, fate mystified, hell forevermore. No release from my cryonic state. What is this? I've been stricken by fate. Wrapped up tight, cannot move, can't break free. Hand of doom has come, or has a tight grip on me. Another song from that album is Creeping Death. Listen to these lyrics, okay? Slaves, Hebrews, born to serve to the Pharaoh. Heed to his every word, live in fear. Faith of the unknown one, the deliverer. Wait, something must be done. 400 years. So let it be written, so let it be done. I'm sent here by the chosen one. So let it be written, so let it be done. To kill the firstborn Pharaoh's son. I'm creeping death. Now let my people go, land of Goshen. Go, I will be with thee, bush of fire. Blood running red and strong down the Nile. Plague, darkness, 3 days long, hail to fire. Die by my hand, I creep across the land, killing firstborn man. Die by my hand, I creep across the land, killing firstborn man. I rule the midnight air, the destroyer. Burn, I shall soon be there, deadly mass. I creep the steps and floor, final darkness. Blood, lamb's blood, painted door, I shall pass. Another song from that album is The Call of Cthulhu. It's an instrumental with no lyrics, but Cthulhu is an H.P. Lovecraft great old ones. The next album is Master of Puppets. Okay? So when they recorded Master of Puppets in Denmark, which is the home of Lars Ulrich. Master of Puppets was released in 1986, and it was the band's final album to feature Cliff Burton, who died in 1986. The lyrics to the song Master of Puppets are supposedly about Pharmakia, but I think they are also about Satan, who was the Nahash in the garden, and that story, I definitely believe, also involves Pharmakia. Here are the lyrics to Master of Puppets. End of passion play, crumbling away, I'm your source of self-destruction. Veins that pump with fear, sucking darkness clear, leading on your death's construction. Taste me, you will see. More is all you need, dedicated to how I'm killing you. Come crawling faster, obey your master. Your life burns faster, obey your master. Master of Puppets, I'm pulling your strings, twisting your mind and smashing your dreams. Blinded by me, you can't see a thing, just call my name, 'cause I'll hear you scream, Master. Needlework the way, never you betray, life of death becoming clearer. Pain monopoly, ritual misery, chop your breakfast on a mirror. Master, master, where's the dreams that I've been after? Master, master, you promised only lies. Laughter, laughter, all I hear or see is laughter. Laughter, laughter, laughing at my cries. Hell is worth all that. Natural habitat, just a rhyme without a reason. Never-ending maze, drift on numbered days. Now your life is out of season. I will occupy, I will help you die, I will run through you. Now I rule you too. Another song on Master of Puppets albums is The Thing That Should Not Be. The lyrics are, messenger of fear and sight, dark deception kills the light. Hybrid children watch the sea, pray for father, roaming free. Fearless wretch, insanity, he watches lurking beneath the sea. Great old one. Forbidden sight, he searches. Hunter of shadows is rising, immortal. In madness you dwell. Crawling chaos underground, cult has summoned twisted sound. Out from ruins, once possessed, fallen city, living death. Fearless wretch insanity, he watches lurking beneath the sea. Timeless sleep has been upset, he awakens. Hunter of the shadows is rising, immortal, in madness you dwell. Not dead, which eternal lie, stranger eons, death may die. Drain you of your sanity, face the thing that should not be. Another song on that album is Leper Messiah. Spineless from the start, sucked into the part. Circus comes to town, you play the lead down. Please, please, spreading his disease, living by his story. Knees, knees, falling to your knees. Suffer for his glory you will. Marvel at his tricks, need your Sunday fix. Blind devotion come rotting your brain. Chain, chain, join the endless chain. Taken by his glamour, fame, fame. Infection is the game. Stinking drunk with power, we see. Witchery weakening. Sees the sheep are gathering. Set the trap, hypnotize, now you follow. Time for lust, time for lie, time to kiss your life goodbye. Send me money, send me green. Heaven you will meet. Make a contribution and you'll get a better seat. Bow to the leper Messiah. Lie, lie, lie. And then they released the And Justice for All album. And one of the songs on that album was Shortest Straw. And the story about Cliff being on the top bunk, which is what supposedly killed him when the bus tipped over, was that he drew the shortest straw. The lyrics are, suspicion is your name, your honesty to blame, put dignity to shame, dishonor, witch hunt, modern day determining decay, the blatant disarray, disfigure, the public's eye disgrace, defying commonplace, unending paper chase, deafening painstaking reckoning, this vertigo if death bring. Witch hunt riding through, shortest straw, the shortest straw has been pulled for you. Doubt sunk itself in you, its teeth and talons through. Your living, catch-22, deluding, a mass hysteria, a megalomania. Behind you, hands are tied, your being ostracized. Your hell is multiplied, upending. The fallout has begun, oppressive damage done. Your many turned to none, to nothing. You're reaching your nadir, your will has disappeared. The lie is crystal clear, defending. Channels read, one word said, blacklisted with vertigo, make you dead. Live in infamy, rub you raw, witch hunting ride through, shortest straw. The shortest straw has been pulled for you. Another song on And Justice for All is To Live Is To Die, and Cliff Burton co-wrote this song. And it kind of sounds like self-sacrifice, like, Eddie did in Stranger Things. The lyrics are, when a man lies, he murders some part of the world. These are the pale deaths which men miscall their lives. All this I cannot bear to witness any longer. Cannot the kingdom of salvation take me home? And that's what's on his tombstone. So it does seem that Cliff Burton was sacrificed, and it does seem that Stranger Things is disclosing that, probably to mock us. Another song on that album is Blackened. There's even a whiskey brand, Metallica Blackened, which is distributed by Craft Spirits, and craft is a code word used to represent witchcraft, and that's why the actor who accepted the Stranger Things Grammy Award referred to what they do as their craft. So the lyrics to Blackened are, blackened is the end, winter it will send, throwing all you see into obscurity. Death of Mother Earth, never a rebirth, evolution's end, never will it mend, never. Blistering of earth, terminate its worth, deadly nicotine kills what might have been, callous, frigid chill, nothing left to kill, never seen before, breathing nevermore, never. Smoldering decay, take her breath away, millions of our years and minutes disappears. Darkening in vain, decadence remains, all is said and done, never is the sun, never. Fire to begin, whipping dance of the dead, blackened is the end, to begin whipping dance of the dead, color our world blackened, blackened. So, as I was saying, some of the Metallica song lyrics have the same themes as Stranger Things: apocalypse, death, demons, Lovecraftian old ones, blackening, wormholes, etc. So, Metallica is a thrash metal band, like the band Machine Head. Machine Head's music had some of the same apocalyptic themes also, and I'm sure other metal bands do too. Machine Head's seventh album was titled Unto the Locust, released on September 11th. And in the Bible, in Revelation, locust hordes come out after the seventh seal. In Revelation 9:11 speaks of the angel of the bottomless pit who rules over those locusts and other creatures in the pit. Revelation 9:11 is, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. So the blackening is Machine Head's sixth album, and the blackening is a reference to creating a pathway or gateway or wormhole between Saturn and the bottomless pit, using the energy of the black sun. And all of these are also very deep occult themes in Stranger Things Season 5. So now we'll get into Stranger Things Season 5. The entire theme of the Stranger Things series revolves around the date of November 6, 11/6, as a pivotal date when the mother gate to the Upside Down first opened. 11/6 is the origin date, and 11/6 is the date that Vecna plans his final attack in Season 5. When they put that date up on the screen, they write it like this: 11/6, like the date, 11-6. And 11/6 is celebrated as Stranger Things Day by fans. So 11/6 is when Elvin made remote contact with the Abyss, and the Upside Down was created, which Vecna and monsters have since been using to enter Hawkins. 11/6 is when the wormhole is opening in Season 5 due to dark matter. An occult belief is that wormholes connect the planets above to the underworld below. And you know the theme of Stranger Things is Upside Down, and 11/6 is 9/11 upside down. Revelation 9:11 describes the demonic angel of the bottomless pit, named Apollyon the Destroyer. They have a king over him, the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in the Greek, he's called Apollyon the Destroyer. In Revelation, the abyss, or the bottomless pit, is opened during the tribulation to release demonic forces, including the locusts and the beast, to torment humanity. So it's pretty telling that the LHC-type device was featured in prior seasons of Stranger Things as a machine used by the Russians underneath the Starcourt Mall to try to open up the Upside Down, or the abyss, and allow those demonic forces to come out and assist them in the Cold War. Because the LHC in real life is partially in St. Genus Poli, specifically the Alice and Alice portions. The name Poli comes from Latin Apolliacum, and it is believed that in Roman times a temple to Apollo existed there, and the people who lived there believed that it was a gateway to the underworld. Wormwood is associated with Apollo because in Revelation 8, a great burning star called Wormwood falls, poisoning the waters at the third trumpet. This happens just prior to when Apollyon is let out of the pit. The bottomless pit is a parallel dimension, like the Upside Down. The occultists refer to the bottomless pit as the black sun, and there's a lot of sun symbolism in Stranger Things. Also in the occult, the bottomless pit is related to Saturn by way of a wormhole. In Season 5, the explanation for the mysterious Upside Down is a wormhole. Created by the science lab in the middle of a circle, with a lab building shaped like an X, it causes the town of Hawkins to serve as a bridge to the abyss. And this is all sacred geometry, which is used in witchcraft, circles. So it's an interdimensional bridge, a wormhole to the abyss. Even Forbes wrote an article talking about that. We already know that gods are associated with certain places or planets in polytheism. We already said that an occult belief is that wormholes connect the planets above and the underworld below. The beings in the pit communicate with humans through witchcraft, just like what's happening in Stranger Things. The Upside Down, also known as the Black Sun, also known as the Abyss, is what Lovecraft wrote about after he was summoned into the bottomless pit after messing with the occult and doing lucid dreaming, etc. Just like these characters in Stranger Things, and his writings describe the demonic energies he encountered there. The kids in the Stranger Things do all the same things. They do meditation, astral travel, remote dreaming, lucid dreaming, and getting possessed, and they too are being summoned into the pit by Vecna. But they're messing with the occult, and that's how it starts in the begin with, by playing the Dungeons and Dragons game. The creators of Stranger Things specifically said they drew inspiration from Lovecraft. Wormwood is also connected to Saturn by occultists, and Vecna in Stranger Things is associated with Saturn. And Saturn has been the center of spiritual rituals by occultists forever. It's associated with the cube. The Star of Remphan is a hexagram and related to Saturn. The hexagram is one of the most ancient religion's symbols, along with the swastika. It spans the flood. The hexagram is the seal of Solomon and used in the Kabbalah. The hexagram is the talisman of Saturn. So we can see by all of this that the show has very deep ancient occult themes, references to Saturn, the abyss, wormholes that connect them, sacred geometry, Saturn worship, time travel, and also apocalyptic things extrapolated from the Bible. Beasts being let out of the pit, the LHC, Revelation 9:11, and Apollyon. We know Apollo is a significant god to these Satanists because it's on top of all the opera houses. Space missions are named for Apollo, and by the way, all the kids in the show love NASA. Trump has Apollo all over his apartment, so none of this is coincidental encoding into the show. So now we can talk about the occult concept of time travel in Stranger Things Season 5 as it relates to witchcraft, Saturn, and wormholes. I think time travel is an occult concept, is actually demon possession. Time travel was also a theme of the Montauk Project, an alleged government project for the purpose of developing psychological warfare techniques and exotic research. I do not believe the reports about the Montauk Project, but we know that the government and military engage in sorcery and witchcraft. Winona Ryder and the police chief in Stranger Things discuss plans to move to a town called Montauk at the end of Season 5, leaving room for, other seasons to come. So this show is a very weird combination of disclosure, mocking, and also unsubstantiating at the same time. So it's a very bizarre presentation, and I believe it's intended to be that way. One of the books featured in Season 5 is A Wrinkle in Time. It's a science fantasy novel, witchcraft, for tweens, which sold over 10 million copies and was made into Disney shows, published in 1962. The book won awards, including the Lewis Carroll Award. The Stranger Things character Holly is reading this book in the library, and that is when Henry, or Vecna, takes over her mind and when she gets possessed. Remember, the pen is mightier than the sword, according to Edward Bulwer Lytton, author of Vril, The Power of the Coming Race, which is also about a humanoid race living underground. A Wrinkle in Time is about kids who journey through space and time fighting the war between light and darkness, good and evil, just like the kids in Stranger Things. Duality is a core concept of Gnosticism. And this cover of this children's book looks like the cover of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine. It has a chimera on the cover. H.G. Wells' Time Machine and the philosophy of time travel is also a theme of the Donnie Darko movie, where time travel occurs through a wormhole affecting physical reality. Donnie Darko was a living receiver tasked with returning a mysterious artifact, which was the jet engine, from a parallel tangent universe to prevent universal collapse, gaining temporary supernatural powers like telekinesis and elemental control, but suffering from hallucinations and the burden of a destined sacrifice. These are the exact same concepts in Stranger Things. In Stranger Things Season 5, the living receiver is a concept used to explain Will's abilities to tap into the psychic frequencies of the Upside Down and his connection to the hive mind. So Will is able to channel Vecna's powers and develop telekinetic abilities also, like Elvin's. The living receiver concept transforms Will from a victim of the Upside Down to a weapon, therefore making him a heroic figure. The apocalyptic themes of the show also harken back to Cold War themes of the 1980s. In 1986, the nuclear power plant at Chernobyl in the Ukraine led to an explosion and fire that demolished the reactor and released large amounts of radiation into the atmosphere. In Stranger Things series, the same type of explosion takes place and it melts a portion of the Upside Down, and the kids mention that it's like Chernobyl, and Chernobyl means wormwood. So this show is full of apocalyptic references, specifically to wormwood. The adults in the series think that all the chaos is related to the Cold War, but the kids in the show who are paying attention to the culture and the media realize that it's related to a spiritual war, even stating that the beast is behind the Cold War. This parallels current events with the war between Russia and the Ukraine, and the powers who worship the beast in real life are attempting to force a Gog-Magog war, which they usually correlate to Russia. Mike has a poster for John Carpenter's apocalyptic movie The Theme in his basement. The theme is about American researchers in Antarctica who encounter an extraterrestrial life form that assimilates, then imitates other organisms, which is the same thing that Vecna does. Carpenter is famous for apocalyptic movies like They Live, Escape from New York, and Escape from LA, and Starman. So this wormhole concept is also a concept in Donnie Darko, with a jet engine falling on Donnie's room, creating a tangent universe that will destroy everyone in it, including his family and girlfriend. It's this parallel universe like the Upside Down. So Donnie's job is to send the engine back through the wormhole to his own past, allowing him to sacrifice himself like Elvin does and Stranger Things, and then save everyone in the original timeline. Notice the wormhole is a whirlwind, which is what the angel rides in. And a whirlwind is a tornado just like the one in The Wizard of Oz who takes Dorothy to Oz. Similarly, the Stranger Things teacher describes a wormhole as something that allows matter to cross galaxies in warp time, like a tornado or a whirlwind or a rocket. Rockets represent an axis mundi, a gate between the spirit realm and our realm. The metal rocket ship is on the playground at the Rosicrucian house in Stranger Things, which is a portal, one of the portals to the Upside Down. It's the same rocket that Erica Sinclair was hiding in season 4. This further connects the historical clan Sinclair to the Rosicrucians. The metal radio tower in season 5 also represents an axis mundi. Rockets, towers, helter-skelters, swastikas, spiral staircases, ladders, obelisks, lighthouses all represent an axis mundi, a bridge between this realm and the spirit realm. So again, it's witchcraft and sorcery. In John Carpenter's movie The Fog, you had a radio tower inside a lighthouse. So metal and water are elements of time travel. And there are a lot of water portals or gates in Stranger Things also. The van, which serves as a mobile base for the radio tower, has a bumper sticker that says, "Repent, Halley's Comet is coming," which reminds me is foreshadowing of Three-Eye Atlas. All these things they like to promote. Operation Beanstalk is the group's plan to infiltrate the abyss using the radio tower, which again symbolizes an Axis Mundi. They plan to rescue the children kidnapped, who are actually possessed, by Vecna and permanently defeat him by destroying the interdimensional bridge, which is a wormhole. Vecna says the kids are a perfect vessel because their minds are weaker, and this concept is repeated over and over. So there's this, hint at, children being possessed in their weak minds, MK Ultra and satanic ritual abuse and things like that. Vecna tells the kids that he kidnaps to come towards the light and that he's the one that can lead them away from darkness. So it's very Luciferian language. And Saturn represents the Luciferian light, the Luciferian cult of the Black Cube. So the plan is to let the abyss get close to where the tip of this radio tower is in the Upside Down so that it breaches a rift in the abyss, giving the rescue team their entrance to rescue the children. And they call this a moving planet in the series. And when the teams step on that planet, they call themselves interdimensional space travelers. Then Elvin and Will and Kali will confront and kill Vecna through this interdimensional rift. Kali is referenced as Elvin's sister because she was raised in the Rainbow Room with Elvin. Kali's character is Indian and she is a dark, destructive force, so definitely a reference to Kali, the Hindu goddess of time and destruction. Her number is 8. 11's number is obviously 11, and Vecna's is 1, and I'm sure the numbers have biblical significance since they extrapolate so much from the Bible into the series. I don't know what they are, though. I didn't find that out. But Kali is Hindu and the goddess of time and destruction. So again, these apocalyptic time themes. In season 5, Kali is involved in experiments using captive pregnant women for blood transfusions, using Vecna and Kali's blood to create other children with supernatural abilities. The Roman equivalent of the Hindu god Kali is Sarah La Kali, and she's a Black Madonna. Dustin and the engineering team plan to plant a timed bomb near the core of dark matter that holds the interdimensional bridge together. Destroying this core is intended to collapse the pathway between Hawkins and the abyss forever. So season 5 takes place in December. Saturnalia, more Saturn themes. And they call the kids' supply truck with all the weapons and equipment that they need. Santa's sleigh is what they call this truck. And the Russian church, where Winona Ryder and the police chief hide out in Russia, is St. Nicholas Church. So Santa is, again, incorporated into all of this. So there are more Saturnalia references with the character named Holly as well. This is the radio tower in Stranger Things on the right, and there was a similar one in Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the left. The radio tower is supposed to poke through a rift as the worlds converge, using it as a physical beanstalk to climb up into the abyss. Remember that towers represent an Axis Mundi, or gate of heaven, and this is a very ancient occult concept represented by, like I said, rockets, towers, helter-skelters, swastikas, spiral staircases, ladders, obelisks. So a bridge between this realm and the spirit realm, or the gate of heaven. It's referred to as the gate of heaven. As Steve is demonstrating how Operation Beanstalk will work to the group, he places a slinky over a flashlight, and he expands it, creating a helter-skelter, which is a spiral staircase ascending the tower. This is just like the Tower of Babel. It's what the orbit structure was that was placed outside of the stadium for the London Olympics in 2012. That sculptor, Sir Anish Kapoor, is commander of the Order of the British Empire, and he's Royal Academy. His notable public sculptures include Cloudgate, also known as the Bean. When asked if engagement with people and places is key to a successful public art, Kapoor said, "I'm thinking about the mythical wonders of the world, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, and the Tower of Babel. It's as if the collective will comes up with something that has a resonance on an individual level, and it becomes mythic. I can claim to take that as a model for a way of thinking. Art can do it, and I'm going to give it a damn good go. I want to occupy the territory, but the territory is an idea and a way of thinking as much as a context that generates objects." So he's talking about, creating something that, this object for the London Olympics, which is emulating the Tower of Babel. It's called a Helter Skelter. It's, looks like a slinky going up a flashlight. So now we can talk a little more about the actors, actresses, and the production company. The production company is 21 Laps Entertainment. The founder is Sean Levy, a Jew who graduated from Yale Performing Arts program. And I've covered Yale's founding by Elihu Yale, who was a Welsh Druid, and that it was founded based on Babylonian sacred languages before in other videos. So season 5 introduces Holly Wheeler. She's Mike and Nancy's younger sister who's lured into an imaginary world by Henry, a.k.a. Vecna, who she refers to as Mr. Whatsit. Mr. Whatsit is an immortal being in the book A Wrinkle in Time who can travel across large stretches of space by dematerializing and rematerializing. So Holly's creepy character is played by Nell Fisher, who's a British actress from London, and her mother is a British diplomat who served as High Commissioner to New Zealand from 2018 to 2022. Fisher studies several languages, including Ancient Greek and Latin. This child. Her bedroom is decorated with poppies in the series, and poppies are symbolic of the occult and witchcraft. Poppies are associated with Saturn. Also death, psychic dreaming, and visions. Poppies appear in Greek myth, and in season 5, one of the kids says they need to learn Greek. The witch uses poppies on Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz on her way to see the wizard in the Emerald City. The Wiz movie with Michael Jackson, based on Frank Baum's books, is also mentioned in season 5. The Wizard of Oz movie has also been used in MK Ultra programming. Holly's room is also decorated with rainbows. In the occult traditions, rainbows symbolize bridges between worlds, earthly and divine, and rainbows are a bridge to the spirit realm in the occult. The Rainbow Room is the room used at the hospital for MK Ultra programming. So Holly is taken into an imaginary dream world or an hallucination, which mirrors Alice in Wonderland, another reference to the LHC because they have Project Alice. Holly wears an Alice-like dress and faces surreal challenges much like Alice explores Wonderland. Henry, or Vecna, acts as the White Rabbit figure, drawing Holly and others into his realm using a pocket watch. A white rabbit represents Lucifer cosmologically in the occult. Holly becomes a cleric or a guide, using her unique connection to Henry's mind to uncover secrets and fight back, turning her into a hero also. Holly's imaginary dream world is called Camazotz. Definitely a reference to Camelot. Another reference to Camelot is when the kids argue over what movie to watch, and they always settle on the Holy Grail. Holly talks to Tiffany's image on the cover of a tape, and Tiffany was an iconic 80s pop star. She sarcastically says, "You're a pop star, what would you know about monsters?" I'm sure there's a story about Tiffany and abuse, that pop star from the 80s, but I didn't look into it. But now let's talk about the Boy Scouts. She's wearing some of the Vecna's old Boy Scout gear here in this picture. Boy Scout elements appear through Holly's discovering Henry's vintage Boy Scouts of America gear, which connects to his past, suggesting that scouting plays a symbolic role in exploring his origins in the Upside Down, linking two themes of innocence lost and Henry's hidden history. Vecna chooses the children because they're weak and easily controlled and broken, and I think that's hinting that this is what happened to him as a child, which is why he's turned evil. When he was a Boy Scout, he was possessed by a mysterious stone in a cave, and that stone is solidified piece of the Mind Flayer matter, which is advanced technology, which connects Vecna to the hive mind, and this is the source of his power. The stone's origins are tied to a secret government program and hint at a deeper lore which will be explored in future spin-offs from the show. Likely, it's also related to Saturn. Regarding the Boy Scouts, there is a known actual historical story about abuse in the Boy Scouts, and the Boy Scouts is linked to Steven Spielberg, who inspired Stranger Things. Spielberg was very active in the Scouts as a child. He helped develop a merit badge for them. He was a member of the National Advisory Board of the Boy Scouts, but he resigned because he disagreed with the organization's anti-homosexuality stance after the abuse was exposed in real life. I've talked about the Boy Scouts before in another video, which I'm going to play. Sir Charles Warren co-founded the Boy Scouts along with Baron Robert Baden-Powell. This is Baron Baden-Powell. He was a British Army officer, Order of Merit, Order of St. Michael and St. John, Royal Victorian Order, Deputy Lieutenant. His father was Professor of Geometry at Oxford and an Anglican Druidic priest. The former CEO of Serco, Rupert Soames, is the grandnephew of Baron Baden-Powell. Rupert Soames is nephew of Defense Secretary Duncan Sandys and his wife Diana Churchill, who's related to Winston Churchill the Druid. Rupert Soames' wife is Camilla Dunn, daughter of Sir Thomas Dunn, who is also a Lord in Order of the Garter and Royal Victorian Order. His daughter was Daisy, and she was Diana, Princess of Wales' goddaughter. But Sir Charles Warren is recorded as the co-founder of the Boy Scouts, and I'm going to play a video that I did about him now, about Sir Charles Warren. I have another Knight of the Crown to add to the list of Beast System soldiers, and this one is so profound that I almost don't even know where to begin, but he deserves his own video, so here goes. And his name is Sir Charles Warren. See here, he is Most Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Most Honorable Order of the Bath, Fellowship of the Royal Society. He is a Freemason who was the first master of the first lodge. I'm just going to stop here for a minute because I had said in that video that Warren was the first master of the first Masonic lodge, and that was my error. I failed to specify that he was the master of the first historical research Freemasonic lodge established in London in 1884. So I'm going to continue the video. He's also Knight Justice of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem. And this is their insignia, got unicorns on it, lions. But this Sir Charles Warren was a busy little witch soldier, for sure. He did an insane amount of stuff. And I'm going to go over much of it, but the most significant thing was climbing Mount Hermon in 1889 and in exploring ancient temples there and other archaeological sites. But the main ancient temple was called Khazar-in-Tar, and there he found a stone pillar tablet inscribed in an ancient language which is now known as the Mount Hermon inscription. And this is it. And the inscription was translated at that time by Warren to read, "According to the command of the greatest and holy God, those who take an oath proceed from here." But this tablet is connected to the oath taken by the angels under Shemjaza, who took an oath together, bound by a curse, in order to take the wives, as in the book of Enoch. But it's later come to note that Warren's translation had added the term holy in error, and that the name of God referred to on the inscription, it was actually a Hellenized version of Baal and connected with the place name of Baal Hermon, or Lord of Hermon. And this article I will link because it has some excellent details about the true translation done after this Sir Charles Warren initially incorrectly translated it. And this more apt translation, noting the command of the unholy God as opposed to the Holy One, does make logical sense, because that entire area was an area where all the ancient temples were pagan, including and especially Khazar-Antar. They're called the Hermonian temples. Okay, where sacrificial altars to ancient gods were found, potentially occupied by the Amorites and the ancient Nephilim tribe in the Bible. And this Sir Charles Warren would have known that, or whoever sent him would have known this, because it was more likely that it was a pagan god or fallen angel, Baal, as the god referred to on that tablet, because of the context of all of them being pagan temples. But still, he or they gave the wrong translation. And why do you think that was? So anyway, this Sir Charles Warren and his cohorts took that tablet down the mountain to London, to the British Museum, which is supposedly housed there still to this day, but no longer displayed to the public. So about these temples, they were sites that were predominantly Roman, but some of the sites have been connected with the high places used for the worship of Baal in the Book of Kings. And apparently this guy had sketched the temple and took photos, but those sketches and photos are extremely difficult to find nowadays. And in fact, that area is now sealed off and guarded by the UN, and it's inaccessible. But the UN building at Mount Hermon is apparently very close to that temple, that same temple where the tablet was found. But it's off limits, it's militarized, and this is it. The UN building, and this looks like the Star of Ishtar. It's got 8 points and a circle. So that was in 1889. So that's kind of the last high-profile thing he did, but there's so much more. And it's insane for one person. It follows the pattern of these knights with all their various talents, kind of like, Elon Musk, So what else about him? There's a lot, and this is crazy. So what else about him? In 1861, when he was just 21 years old, because he was born in 1940, so he was just 21 years old, he worked on surveying Gibraltar using detailed trigonometry surveying methods. And at age 17, he'd already been commissioned as a lieutenant in the Royal Engineers. And then he became an instructor at the School of Military Engineering in Chatham and was promoted to captain for his work when he was just 25 years old. And here's the Royal Engineers, their symbol. Where is it? I don't know if I have it. Yeah, here it is. See their insignia? It's the same as the Order of the Garter. Royal Corps of Engineers. It's a military royal order. Okay. So 17, he became commissioned as a lieutenant in that. Then he became instructor at the School of Military Engineering in Chatham and was promoted to captain when he was 25. So then what happened? In 1867, when he was 27, Sir Charles Warren carried out the exploration of the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, leading to common-day knowledge of the topography in the area. It says in 1867, Warren was recruited by the Palestine Exploration Fund to conduct biblical archaeology reconnaissance. So let's read about this, because I was unaware of the history of that. And this is just an academic paper about it. This is the Temple Mount. says modern exploration of the Temple Mount began in the mid-1800s. Prior to that, the Temple Mount was controlled by the Muslims. But in the mid-1800s, the British got involved and used the Palestine Exploration Fund for the purpose of investigating the archaeology, geography, geology, and natural history of Palestine, Israel. See my video titled Jerusalem for more info about the British imperialism and Zionism in Israel. And there were a lot of Brits involved, but it was mainly this 27-year-old lieutenant of the Royal Engineers, Sir Charles Warren, who was appointed to the expedition of Jerusalem. And here's some of the questions they wanted answered supposedly out of that undertaking. What was the exact location of the Jewish temple as built by Solomon and finally destroyed by the Romans under Titus? What was the date of the construction of the Dome of the Rock? Question about the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The lines followed by the three walls of Jerusalem in the 1st century. Where were the ancient gates of the city referred to in the scriptures? The locations of the city of David. So they sent this 27-year-old who was part of the British Army to go and sort this out. And here in this academic paper are just some drawings and photos of that expedition. So already this is an insane resume for a 27-year-old, but it doesn't end there. It does not end there. There's a lot more. He comes back to Britain, and then he writes a book about archaeology, and eventually 7 other books. A military person, a mathematician. So here we have another British military person who's also an archaeologist, like Sir Henry Rawlinson, who was also involved in Babylonian artifacts and a Knight of the Crown. And then in 1885, he becomes commissioner of police in London during Jack the Ripper serial killer murders, but he fails to solve that murder. Not going down that rabbit hole, although I'm sure there's a lot to investigate there. And then in 1887, he oversaw Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee celebration to mark her 50th anniversary as monarch. And the celebration was at Westminster, where at that banquet, 50 European kings and princes were in attendance. So he was the right-hand man of the monarchy, Queen Victoria. Also in 1887, as commissioner of the police, he organized the chief of police and constables in London during Bloody Sunday, where a crowd of protesters marching about unemployment and the Irish Coercion Acts clashed with the Metropolitan Police, and 75 people were injured, 2 cops were stabbed, and a protester was bayoneted. And then after that, more protests and casualties followed in the aftermath of that Bloody Sunday. So this is all around the time of political upheaval, and Queen Victoria and British imperialism is on the rise, and Jack the Ripper, which is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down, but was that a distraction? Or a false flag sort of thing, Jack the Ripper? Maybe an MI6 thing, because the MI6, they're all knights also. Or maybe this guy was Jack the Ripper. He's a jack of all trades, it seems. So then in 1889, he serves in the military in South Africa, expanding British claims there in South Africa in the Second Boer War. And he also served in the first one. But it says eventually British forces used scorched earth policies. The terrible conditions suffered in concentration camps by civilians, mostly women and children, who were displaced by the policies, brought the remaining Boer guerrillas to the negotiating table, ending the war. And this resulted in a number of South African nations becoming Commonwealth nations under the British monarch. So in 1889, that same year, where he brings South Africa into the Commonwealth and oversees his bloody war, that's the same year he climbed Mount Hermon and brought back the Fallen Angel Command Tablet. This guy also founded the Boy Scouts, was a surveyor also in Egypt and South Africa, in addition to the Levant. So wow, that's quite a lot of running around doing witchy stuff, huh? Queen Victoria's Wolverine, I'd say. Thanks for listening. All right, so sorry to get off on that. There was a movie that Jack the Ripper Murders Were Freemasons. I forget the name of it. I did a video about it before. So, I got off on that tangent about the Boy Scouts and its founders, but I think it's important because all of this is connected. It's very interesting that Stranger Things would incorporate the idea of the Boy Scouts and abuse in their series. Seems there are a lot of conspiracy theories being revealed in that show, which is just weird because it's almost as if they're mocking us. So Sir Charles Warren was a Freemason, and regarding Freemasonry, we know they were also included in this series, Stranger Things, with the references to sacred geometry being present, because the kids show it on a map related to the tunnel system and the upside down and how it radiates from the government lab as the center. And then immediately after that, they show a flashback of one of the characters taking a geometry test. The radio station at the tower also has a checkerboard floor. Lots of sun and moon symbolism, which are also on the Masonic tracing board. Vecna tells Will that when he possessed him, that he became his builder, helping him build the tunnels under Hawkins and the upside down. And I'm sure there are many other references that I missed, Freemasonic and otherwise. Charlie Heaton is a British actor who plays Jonathan Byers in the show. He was born in Yorkshire, but he moved to London at 16 years old. Prior to his acting career, it says Heaton played in a number of London-based bands, including Half Loon, which is a psychedelic band, and I found a video for that band. I'll play it, some of it.
Day too long ago, have we outgrown? Be blind by.
Okay. So they claim that Charlie Heaton is in a relationship with his Stranger Things co-star Natalia Dyer. But we don't know if that's true. Sometimes they put people together for publicity or whatever. In 2017, Charlie Heaton was detained for possession of cocaine at the LAX airport, but he was not charged with the crime. Instead, he was sent back to London, and then he was later allowed to shoot in the U.S. the third season of Stranger Things. And I think you have to be pretty addicted to have cocaine in an airport. Natalia Dyer is also insanely skinny, so maybe they both have that problem. Here's an image of all of them dressed in Wizard of Oz costumes. Like I said, lots of Wizard of Oz references in Stranger Things because that movie was also used for MKUltra programming. Charlie's character wears a t-shirt for the band The Fall throughout season 5. The Fall were an English post-punk gothic band formed in 1976. One of their albums was titled Hex Induction Hour. The lead singer is Mark Smith, lead singer of The Fall. This is him. One-eye symbolism. Smith is regarded as a, quote, strange kind of antimatter national treasure. The drummer of The Fall was Simon Wollstonecraft, like the author of Frankenstein, who also played for the band The Smiths. The British band The Smiths. Now, that's an interesting name because the name Cain in Hebrew can mean smith or metalsmith, especially through its connection to Cain's descendant Tubal Cain, who's described as the first forger of bronze and iron tools in the Bible. Tubal Cain was the first master mason. He had an association with metallurgy and weaponry. This metalworking knowledge was acquired by the fallen angels that descended on Mount Hermon. Apparently, Tubal Cain was alive at the time those fallen angels descended on Mount Hermon. Here's from the Book of Enoch. And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working with them. So you have all this knight imagery. They're knights of the crown, and bracelets and ornaments and use of antimony, and beautifying of the eyelids and all kinds of costly stones and coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray, and they became corrupt in all their ways. Simjaza taught enchantments and root cuttings. So that sounds like pharmakia. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Witchcraft. Barakajal taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Arakiel, the signs of the earth. Shamsiel, the signs of the sun. And Sariel, the course of the moon. And as men perished, they cried, and their cries went up to heaven. This explains the metals on the Royal Heraldry tincture chart and the other things on the tincture chart, which I've discussed many times before, and also the antimony symbol accompanying the fallen angel mural on the Griffith Observatory that I've talked about before. All the things the fallen angels taught man, they symbolize it. The Hebrew cane is also strongly associated with the meaning spear. The word spear, S-P-E-A-R, the weapon, as in the spear, Shaker Society, or Shake Spear, because he was the first person to make a weapon, likely a spear, the one he used to kill Abel. Metal, as a music genre, like Metallica, I'm sure, is a reference to Tubal Cain and metalworking taught by the fallen angels. Spear is the melee weapon chosen by Steve Harrington and Dustin in season 5. This is Steve Harrington. So all of this is part of ancient wisdom carried forward through the mystery schools and mystery religion. It spanned the flood and picked up back up at the Tower of Babel, where they believed they could storm the gate of heaven or the spirit realm, and they still do. And that Tower of Babel was also an Axis Mundi, or gate of heaven, and that's what Hillary Clinton means when she squawks that the glass ceiling has about 15 million cracks in it, or how many ever million cracks in it. And that's why you see the swastika symbol on pre-flood artifacts of the Ubaid culture and other cultures, which are pre-flood. And swastika literally means the gate of heaven, and it represents a spiral or portal. The Axis Mundi is also represented by all the things that I mentioned previously: towers, rocket stairs, helter-skelters, lighthouses, obelisks, and these are featured in Stranger Things. Charlie Heaton's character, Jonathan, buys an engagement ring for Nancy in the series, and he keeps it stored in this tape of John Coltrane, a famous jazz musician and heroin addict. The way the kids finally escape from this melt, Chernobyl, Wormwood, is by dropping the gold engagement ring on the floor, another Lord of the Rings reference. Coltrane was famous for Indian and Arabic scales on the saxophone, but with an impassioned psychedelic spiritual focus. His grandfather was an Anglican priest in Africa. It says Coltrane spoke in tongues, although I'm sure it was some form of spirit possession. He recorded his recordings contain chants from the Hindu Bhagavad Gita and the Buddhist Tibetan Book of the Dead, and a recitation of a passage describing the primeval verbalization Om as the cosmic spiritual common denominator in all things. Vecna's character is played by James Metcalf Campbell Bower, who's also British. He had roles in Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Twilight, Harry Potter, and he is the frontman for the London-based band Counterfeit. He descends from Sir John Campbell of Ards, who's a baronet, so he's in the club, and also a musician in a psychedelic band. Robin's character is a lesbian in the show, played by Maya Thurman Hawke, daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, who got together on the set of the movie Gattaca, which is about genetically engineered humans. On her father's side, Hawke is a distant cousin of playwright Tennessee Williams. On her mother's side, she is a granddaughter of Buddhist scholar Robert Thurman. Maya is also a musician, influenced by Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, Patti Smith, and Joni Mitchell. Her character is the one who wears the idolatrous bull patch on her jacket in season 3. It's reported that creators of the show, the Duffer Brothers, took inspiration from Steven Spielberg, whose paternal grandparents are Jewish from the Ukraine. And you can see that he's into Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah, based on the themes of his movies. And for that, he is Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany, and he has an honorary knighthood by Queen Elizabeth. He's Order of the Belgian Crown, among many other awards by U.S. presidents, the film industry, and various universities, etc. Stephen King is. It's crazy how much of the exact same symbolism is in the Stranger Things show and also in other Steven Spielberg movies. We can take Poltergeist for one example. So you have the Beast. You have going into the light to answer all the questions of the universe. You have demons. You have trees with consciousness. And in fact, the children are trapped by trees in Stranger Things, which is very druidic. A tree also attacks and attempts to swallow the children in Poltergeist. Other themes are parallel dimensions and biolocation, like with remote viewing and astral travel. Other similarities are tornadoes or whirlwinds or spiral staircases. So these are Axis Mundis, orbs, Wizard of Oz references, demonic clowns, sharks, poppies, red balloons, Americana themes, but also the Rubik's Cube. The Rubik's Cube is a prop in many Spielberg movies. It's a plot point in Ready Player One, and also a plot point in the Let Me In vampire movie. That cube represents Saturn in the occult. Another name for the Rubik's Cube is the Magic Cube, and the creator also created the Rubik's Magic and Rubik's Snake, all based on sacred geometry used in witchcraft, circles, cubes, triangles, stars, etc. So witchcraft and sorcery of the Dark Ages also use the magic square, which is comprised of blocks that look just like the Rubik's Cubes, and they love to incorporate witchcraft into children's toys all the time. In Stranger Things, Winona Ryder communicates with Will in the Upside Down by emulating a Ouija board on her wall, and they make a board game out of it, encouraging children to contact the Upside Down. This board game, in real life, you can buy it. Of course, they also incorporate the witchcraft and sorcery in board games and video games. The board game in Stranger Things is Dungeons and Dragons. At the end of season 5, the original Dungeons and Dragons group of kids is graduating from high school. And at the graduation speech, Dustin describes how good chaos can bring good change and that he doesn't want order, he wants chaos. And his t-shirt, I thought I had a... let's see if I had that. Hold on. Darn it. I don't. But his t-shirt in that scene has Hellfire Lives. And they play Iron Maiden's song The Trooper in that scene. That song is on the Iron Maiden Peace of Mind album, along with the songs Revelations and Flight of Icarus. And Icarus is a figure from Greek mythology, the son of master craftsman Daedalus. So Iron Maiden is a British band who also had an album titled The Number of the Beast. Other music played at the end of the season 5 of Stranger Things includes Prince's Purple Rain, a song by Stevie Nicks, The Witch, David Bowie, We Can Be Heroes, a reference to demigods. So, at the end, Elvin sacrifices herself, and the Upside Down is blown up, and she appears as a Messiah figure. And she lifts the Hawkins curse. And it looks like where the portal is closed in that scene in Hawkins was the library. So, remember, the pen is mightier than the sword. Elvin is referred to as a mage, which is a wizard. And at the end, the kids play Dungeons and Dragons one last time, since they're going to go their separate ways since they've graduated. Mike alludes to the idea that Elvin isn't actually dead because Kali cast a spell of invisibility and she escaped. Then Kali created an illusion of her image so that everyone would think she died. And this, of course, leaves an opening for future episodes or spin-offs. Thanks for listening.